Hello everybody. This week we are talking about money. And I thought it would be a fun idea for me to review my 3 top favourite money books that I have read in the last few years. I have read many a book about money and I have learned a lot. But the 3 books that I'm going to talk about today have probably had the most influence on me, especially in the last 2 years since my life has completely changed. And so I will just dig right in. My first book is it's resonated with me the most on my money journey, on my life journey, and the author I have gone on to work with one-on-one personally, not around money but around healing, and he's had a very big influence on my life, on how I've learned, on how I've healed. So the first book is The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. So you may have seen the podcast episode I did with him recently. If not, go and check it out. It is we had an amazing conversation, but at the end I asked him about his book and what he means by the illusion of money. Because when I first started reading this book, my ex, and ironically he became an ex very soon after I started reading this book, he laughed at me because he was like, what do you mean by the illusion of money? How can you say money isn't real? He was an accountant, or is an accountant, so I understand his very logical way of thinking, but I also understand this is the majority of the population's way of thinking, is that money is real, money is this thing that we have to strive towards every single day. It's why we live our lives, to build as much money as we possibly can so that our egos can feel better than everybody else around us. It gives this illusion of safety and security in our lives. It also gives the illusion of freedom. So this is why this book resonated deeply with me, because it made me look at money in a completely different way. Yes, I'd read things like Think and Grow Rich. I'd had a lot of done some of Tony Robbins' seminars and tried to read some of his books about money, but none of it really hit me, because I would read them and then I'd think, well, why am I still miserable? And I think the biggest thing that this book gave me is that it's why the reason why we're chasing money is what causes suffering. We chase it from a place of lack, from a place of not believing in ourselves, from believing that money defines our worth, and that isn't the case. And we often are programmed, like we've been conditioned our entire lives and beyond, like our ancestors were conditioned. We have generational conditioning throughout our body that determines how we view money. And unfortunately, we have been led to believe that scarcity and lack are the truth, and they're not. And that's what this book goes into. It goes into the truth about money and freedom and how it's all within you, and that you just have to start to take steps to answering your highest calling, start to take steps towards your own freedom and recognizing that within, and then you will begin to access it. So this book, Kyle Cease is a comedian, so he's funny. This book is light, it is funny, it's amusing, it's a really easy, fun read. But there are also some challenging concepts for the ego. I think they'll resonate with you deep within, but your ego will find challenge with them. So it also raises your awareness. And when I say raises your awareness, it is a book that is written in such a high frequency, from such a high level of consciousness, that that you will unknowingly raise your own frequency and your own awareness just by reading it. And so when you do that, you start to question things. So you start to then make changes within your life, especially if you take the actions that Kyle outlines in this book. You will start to see your life change in a really dramatic way. All of a sudden, you will start answering your calling more than living from your programming. It's just like a byproduct of reading the book. And so when you begin to write this new story of your life, you begin to open yourself to infinite possibilities. And this is one of the other big messages in this book, is that we have access to infinite possibilities, and we have access to infinite abundance. It's the only truth of the world. When we can lean into this truth and lean into the freedom that's within us, and the abundance, and that we are all one, and when we can start to recognize this, things will flow into your life that you would not be able to explain. Kyle also goes into how you attract or repel money. So I imagine if you're watching this, you might have read things like The Secret, or at least watched the documentary, or at least heard of it. And in The Secret, you're taught about the law of attraction and how you attract things. So he sort of covers this, but he has an amazing spin on how we attract and how we repel. So imagine somebody you're dating and they're coming on too strong, and they're like, I need you, I need you, I need you. When are we seeing each other? Why aren't you here all the time? Do you think you'd be attracted to that? So do you think that money is going to want to come into your life if you're like, where's the money? Why don't I have any money? Why isn't the money always in my life? Why isn't it always here? So he has a really, really interesting perspective on how we attract and repel money. And he tells an amazing story of when he wanted to do piano lessons. And he wanted to do lessons every day for a year. Like, Kyle doesn't do things by halves. If he says he's going to do it, he commits he's full in. So he seeks this piano teacher out, and he wants to work with him for every day for a year, but he does a trial with him first. And I'm paraphrasing, so I might not get this completely accurate. You're going to have to read the book to find out. He paid the piano teacher for the first lesson, and how he met this guy was a complete kind of it was a synchronicity. And then this guy, the piano teacher, moaned because he had to pay the PayPal fees. So he moaned to Kyle about a couple of dollars PayPal fee that he had to pay. So without knowing that Kyle wanted to work with him every day for 365 days. So that was basically, the guy probably wouldn't have had to take on much other work because Kyle was willing to pay him for a year. But this guy ruined his opportunity because all he saw was lack, and all he saw was, you've lost me $2.50 or whatever it was by me having to pay PayPal fees. So just a very interesting story about how we attract and repel, and our mindset, and how it's like seeing it the other way rather than it happening to us, seeing how somebody repelled money. So it's very, very, very interesting. One of his other favourite messages within this book for me is how money is one of the biggest excuses that we use not to follow our highest calling in the world. Like, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough time, or that's not going to pay the bills. So my question for you is, whether you go ahead and read the book or not, where are you using money as an excuse not to go and live your highest life, like your best life? Because I bet it is all possible for everybody, but we make excuses. We are our only limitation. Our mind is our only limitation, and you are not the small self. You are not the limited mind. You are infinite. And I think this is why I love this book so much, because it was the beginning. Reading it was the beginning of me completely changing my life without me being aware of it. So it opened me up to so much magic. And a lot of change that I was uncomfortable with, because I had to see an old story fall away. But the old story falling away has birthed for something so completely magical. It's really, truly amazing. So I highly recommend you can go and buy the book. If you've already read it, I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment. You can buy the book through the link in the description. Go and check it out. Go check out some of Kyle's work. He's a truly expansive, beautiful being who I am extremely grateful to have worked with, and I keep coming back to this book because it's amazing. The second book I would like to talk about today is, now I have the audio book, but I did buy the journal to go with it, and it is such a fun book, and The author is Amanda Frances, so you may know of her, you may love her, you may hate her. She's and if either you love her or you hate her, she's showing you something about yourself. So I would highly recommend looking into that. But her book is rich as fuck, and it is just such a refreshing read. As women, I think we feel that we're not supposed to be rich. We have been conditioned to believe that men are going to provide for us and that women should stay at home and look after the kids, and that's fine. Like, if you're called to do that, absolutely, but not every woman's made for that. That's not every woman's highest calling. I mean, I know an old lady in my life who has told me that she wouldn't have kids again given the opportunity, and she has 3 kids and about 100 grandkids. So very, very interesting to see how our lives can end up because of conditioning, because this is what you're supposed to do. But what Amanda Frances does is gives us permission to rewrite our story, to write our own story, to show up in the world as the wealthy woman that we are born to be, deserve to be. And so I describe this book always as the chick flick of money books, but it is packed with so much wisdom. She is one clever woman, and when you listen to her story about how she built her empire, it is nothing less than an empire of money courses, money content. She has built this company that helps thousands of women throughout the world, and you can't help but admire her. So the thing that I love so much about this book, one is the journal, because you get to go through and there are exercises at the end of every chapter, so it's really practical book, and you go through, you journal, and with the journaling, with the thinking about the things, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind, and you may or may not know that. So you're really digging into some quite deep stuff that will really help you make change throughout your life. And especially, and this is the same with any book that you read, you can read it and you can embody it. So by doing the work, doing the exercises, you are embodying it, and you are more likely to see change throughout your life. What Amanda does so well is help you reframe all of the stories that you have ever been told or that you tell yourself about money, like money is the root of all evil, or I'm not good enough. And she has amazing riffs in there that kind of go off about, yes, you're good enough, and why aren't you good enough? And we are here to be rich, abundant. We are here to experience life to its fullest. So why should we accept anything less? So she just does a really amazing job of helping you understand that you deserve money, you deserve to be rich, and you deserve to live an incredible life. Amanda teaches you what it feels like to be insanely rich, especially if you follow her on Instagram. Now, it's not this style of wealth, it is not for everybody. It may not even be something that I personally believe in, because I do think that still, when we feel that we have to look, dress, show up a certain way, it can come from a place of ego, it can come from a place of needing to prove ourselves. But also in Amanda's case, I don't think it is. I think she's truly here to help us step into the wealthiest version of ourselves, and I don't believe it comes from a place of showing off or being inauthentic. If there's one thing she is, I believe it's very authentic. She also teaches you why you must be rich, and this is one thing I love that flows throughout certain money books. Amanda says we need people with big hearts, loads of money, and an intention to change the financial landscape of this world, and I can fully get on board with that. When we can change the financial landscape, we can see so much positive change throughout the world. It has a ripple effect. If we have good people with big hearts, with loads of money, what can we achieve? The possibilities are endless. So I'll describe this book in closing as a financial self-discovery book, especially if you work through the journal, covered in glitter and Louis Vuitton. It is nothing short of that. And when I am feeling lack or I need a bit of a pick-me-up, I'll just put on Amanda's book. I might go for a walk. I might even just listen to an hour, and it automatically just helps me step into a high vibe. Yeah, I'm a badass. and kind of change my energy. Speaking of changing energy, she also has some great manifestation tips for the more practical kind of implementing how you can manifest certain things in your life. So it is really a great book all around. And now, last but by no means least, this is the godfather of all money books, by Wallace D Wattles, and it's The Science of Getting Rich. This is a 3-hour read, 3-hour listen. You can find it's all over YouTube with like the audio, people reading the audio with commentary. There is a lot written about this book. I've read amazing essays about this book, of how people have implemented it and seen massive change in their life, and it's probably influenced most of the money books. Probably most of your money gurus have read this book and used it to change their own lives. So I highly recommend anybody on a money journey, on a journey to become financially free, reads this book. Wattles says that it is for people who want to get rich first and philosophize after. Now that is, screaming to an ego that wants to make money. Come and read me and put me into practice. So set your ego to work and it will certainly put in the work. It helps you reprogram your subconscious mind. It talks about frequency. It uses spiritual philosophy, which is way before its time. This book's probably over 100 years old. In fact, it says on the back here, one of the most significant self-help books in the last 100 years. So it is it's way before its time, and the principles are still being spoken about today. They're still being taught today. We still don't fully know or embody them. We're still not fully putting them into practice. But what I love is that it's called The Science of Getting Rich, and science is actually proving the principles now. So it's a really fascinating book that I highly recommend you go through step by step. Understand frequency, understand the power of your thoughts, understand the power of gratitude. It speaks a lot about gratitude, a lot about giving more value than you receive. So if you want something, and it mentions this in Eastern philosophy as well, if you want to receive something, give it in abundance. If you want to receive something in particular in your life, like such as more money, where can you give abundance today? Where can you give money? Where can you help somebody with their own money? So give more value than you receive. And it is just a never-ending journey and I don't mean giving like from an empty cup. I mean giving from a place of understanding that you are infinite. And it goes in to explain how we are all one. And he has a really amazing quote: to set about getting rich in a scientific way, you do not try to apply your willpower to anything outside of yourself. To get rich, you only need to use your willpower upon yourself. Now, to me, some people interpret this in different ways. To me, this is saying we are all one, and this is what spirituality speaks about today. We are all one. Our mind is creating our reality. Focus on your mind and your life will change. That is, focus on you. There is nobody outside of you. Anyone outside of you is reflecting your mind. So you can only work on yourself. Don't try and change the external. Don't try and, let the external changes come from you reflecting on and changing your internal reality. As you change your internal reality, your external reality will change. And that's what this book goes into very well. Maybe not in those words, but this is how I've interpreted it. And so there are 7 main principles throughout this book. The first is that thought is the starting point. The second is how riches come to you. The third is having an attitude of gratitude. And the fourth is thinking a certain way. 5 is how to use the will. 6 is acting in the certain way. And 7 is the impression of increase. So it teaches you how to think, act, and be this certain way in order to bring wealth and riches into your life. The other really, really important thing that I picked up from this book is that you deserve to be wealthy. And if you are not seeking to be your wealthiest, fullest expression of yourself, then you're doing a disservice to humanity. You're doing a disservice to God, to consciousness, to the universe, because you were put on this planet to be the fullest expression of who you are. And if you're not doing that every single day, then what are you doing, in the politest way possible? So I really, really recommend anybody kind of maybe start with this book. It's something that I generally have next to my bed. I pick it up, I dip into it, and it, you know, you always read it in a very different way. You always pick up something new. On the life coach training course that I have done, they teach money in this way. They teach about how we bring money into our lives in this way. So it's at the basis of a lot of my own teachings as well. Again, the link for this and all the other books I've mentioned are in the description below. And I recommend that if you wish to really truly access your freedom and really truly generate wealth in your life, that you embark on your own personal money journey. Learn about money, learn about how the universe works, learn about life, learn about yourself. You must go on a self-discovery journey if you want to create freedom and if you want to create wealth. It's not a do this and get money, it's a continual journey, and there will always be another level to learn. So I highly recommend that you have fun doing it. Go read the books, pick and choose which books call to you, and implement any teachings that resonate with you. That some will, some won't, but go on your own journey. And when thinking about your money situation, where you are now, I want you to have a look at your past. Have a look at your past. Have a look at your present. See how your past has created where you are today. And then have a look into the future. Because if you don't make changes, your future is going to look like your past. So take a look at where you are now with money and start to reimagine a new future and have a look at the changes that you need to make. I am so excited to announce that I'm launching a group coaching program that's sole focus is helping you access your highest version of financial freedom. Wealthy, Wild and Free goes further than you have ever been before. We go on a deep journey to discover what your truth of wealth and freedom looks like and how you can start to create it. This is an intensive 8-week program for a very small group of people with hands-on support from myself. I take you on an adventure through your subconscious mind to address your hidden money shadows, your specific money shadow that you need to address and integrate, the limiting beliefs, the fears that are holding you back and running your life. We uncover the truth of infinite abundance and how you can allow it to flow and never stop. We get practical, we go into your personal numbers, any debt, reframing debt, working with loving your money and creating a new relationship for you. Again, releasing any fears that might be holding you back. Disclaimer, this is not a money manifestation course. I am not going to help you create a 6 or 7 figure business. This is a deep inward journey. This is for people who are serious about creating massive change in their lives. It's for people who are serious about freedom and creating a loving relationship towards money. This is hands-on group coaching. So this is for people who are ready to play all out. And if that is you, and you decide to play all out with me, then you will see dramatic changes and improvements throughout your entire life. Yes, in your financial life, yes, in your wealth and in your freedom, but also in your love and in your health. It's just a knock-on effect. Change one, change them all. This is only for people who are interested in playing with infinite possibilities. So if you are interested, then please click the link below, apply, let's have a chat. And anybody who is successful, I will call you personally. This is a small program. I am only accepting 10 people onto the program this time around. So if you're interested, please click the link, let me know, and I look forward to working with you. Here's to being wealthy, wild and free. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, if you loved learning about my favorite money books, then hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know which your favorite money book is. Maybe there's something that I need to read. And stay tuned for more videos like this. I will be speaking about money a lot more over the coming weeks. for guided meditations, and of course for my weekly podcast.